Today's podcast is sponsored by Kevin Feely Athletic Therapy, helping you in all matters related to pain, injury, and athletic performance. Bookings can be made through the website at www.kevinfeelyathletictherapy.ie. Thanks to Kevin for sponsoring the podcast, and I will leave the links to the website and social media accounts in the video description. So Rory, thanks very much for coming on. How have you been managing in these strange times?
Managing quite well, Dara. Thanks for having me on as well. I suppose the first couple of weeks of the lockdown, you didn't really know what to be at. I suppose you're away from football, you're completely into a new routine. I wasn't working at the time. I was sort of on the furlough and sort of didn't know what to be doing with myself. And thankfully now, the last number of weeks I've been back in work and been quite busy, so I've been back to normality a wee bit. But doing wee bits of training here and there just to keep yourself taken over, and enjoying a bit of PlayStation as well. That's probably one of the most enjoyable things, playing a bit of Call of Duty and FIFA and that there, just to keep taking over the evenings. But it's been quite, it's been very weird now. It's a very weird situation we're in, but I'm coping well. Enjoyed the break for a while, but mad to be back at it now.
Yeah, John Horn seemed to say October could be the earliest anyways before inter-county action returns. What's your thoughts on that, and would you be prepared to play behind closed doors if that was the only option?
I was totally against it a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
because I just didn't agree with it. You know, fans are probably what makes the GA so special, the atmospheres and closeness and so on, and
Yeah.
to go and play a championship game with nobody there, it just wouldn't feel right. But I just think the last number of weeks, especially, you're just mad to get back playing football, no matter where it is. And I could totally understand if the GA have to go with behind closed doors just to get it played. Why not? So, I'm sure TV people would be fit to watch it from their homes, maybe on TV and that sort of stuff. So, as I said, I was totally against it, but now I'd be definitely inclined to play away and just to get back in some sort of training and back into some sort of football, because it's just fed up at this stage.
Yeah, as he even said, he was kind of the same himself. The first few weeks, you nearly think it'll be nearly like a challenge game, some of the games, but with so long without football now, you nearly just have anything at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Even watching back old Monaghan games and out there just sort of gets the hunger going again. So.
Yeah, well, we could move on to Monaghan. I think you made your debut was in 2011, was it?
No, I made my debut in 2012, but really
Okay.
sort of established a starting place in 2013. So.
Yeah, and that was a big year for Monaghan. Mally O'Rourke came in, and I think he just got promoted from Division 3.
Yeah, that was probably my first taste of silverware in senior level, with the National League in Division 3, and it was a great day. Beat Meath that day, very good game. But I remember the crowds coming out that day, and even the celebrations the couple of days after was great, and it sort of gave us that sort of confidence in the championship. And you know, it was a great start for Malachy. I know people may say, but maybe playing from Division 3 on with Malachy was great to blood in new players and for him to tangle about with systems and so on. So we just got a bit of a winning mentality from Division 3 and took it into the championship. And we did ride our luck a few occasions in the Ulster Championship that year, but I know that day will live long in the memory in July of beating Donegal in that Ulster final. The crowds, the crack, just the sheer the relief, I think, from more of the older guys who've been there and lost a couple of finals. But for myself, winning Ulster Championship was huge, and so for the team as well as it was just a weight off the shoulders, I think, for a lot of them.
Yeah, on that final, because you were huge underdogs going into it, really. Donegal were the All-Ireland champions at the time. What was your mentality going into that? Did you fully believe that you had a fair chance of winning this?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, like, I would have been, you know, my first year in, you had been reading papers and so on, and I remember reading, I think it was a week before, and people were trying to predict the championship, and all the expert pundits, as they call themselves now, were all back in Donegal, and it was just fuel to the fire for us. And I remember that week building up to it. It was just it was the best week of training we've ever had. We were so well prepared, so well. The hunger was there. Everyone was just mad to get out and play, and you could see that once the start we had in that game. I think we went 5-0 up, and you know, I remember going in at half time thinking, did we do enough there? We had so many chances, and we only went in 3 points up. But second half took care of itself, and the rest of that is history, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it was the first time in 25 years Monaghan won an Ulster. Like, how big at the time was that achievement? Because you could see the supporters running onto the field and everything. It was great to see.
Yeah, it's unreal. You didn't get time to breathe or celebrate with your teammates. There were people coming on, jumping on you, and so on, and it was unbelievable. And that the passion of Monaghan supporters, it's so evident over the last number of years how much they love Monaghan football, how much they love football in general. And to see that day and 2015 as well, and even the Galway game in 2018, they just love to see Monaghan doing well, and it's great to give them them days out, and hopefully we can give them more and more in the future.
Yeah, how big a moment was that win? It kind of set you off probably for the next 6, 7 years playing Division One and that. If you'd lost that, do you think it would have set you back a bit?
Yeah, well, it's hard to know. Would we have that would have been a lot of ways third Ulster final defeat. Would you have seen a few retirements? I don't know. Maybe it kickstarted as you said, a winning period for us. So it's really hard to know. But I know I think the minors winning that day as well was a special day for Monaghan, and I think it made a lot more people want to play football for Monaghan, knowing that there was chances of winning silverware, whereas that wasn't evident in the years before. So we've had a good few minor championships since that, a few under 21s as well. So the conveyor belt is running well. So hopefully we get them boys coming through and adding to the senior medals, hopefully.
Yeah, you lost to Tyrone in the 2013 quarter final. I suppose, were you going in with the bonus territory after? I even know for myself from Roscommon that if you win maybe the first, you go to the quarter final, anything here is a bonus. Maybe from nowadays, you'd be looking at saying we should be going to a semi final.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I know I was distraught after that game as well, but you could still fall back in that Ulster title and still enjoy your year. I remember even come back into the club. It was our first year we won the senior championship that year in 2013. So it was a really really good year for the Scotland lads especially. But yeah, it was a tough loss, but I don't think it hurt as much as maybe the 2015 loss in the semi-final, in the quarter-final, sorry, or even the 2018 loss in the semi-final. So because you're in that bit of bonus territory. Once 2014 hit, it was trying to go further, trying to go to a semi-final or final. So we haven't got to the final yet, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, 2015 you met Donegal again, and I suppose you were recognised as a top eight team at that stage. How does that compare to the 2013 one?
Yeah, I suppose going into the final, obviously we were tipped by a few more people to maybe win. We had a good league. We got to a National League semi-final, sorry, and lost by a point to Dublin. A game where we probably could have won that and got to a National League final. So a lot more was expected of us in 2015, and a lot more people knew about us and respected us, I suppose. So that added to the challenge. But again, it was another great relief to win that 2015 Ulster Championship, but again, just the old enemy in Tyrone sort of beat us in the All Ireland quarter final. Again, not in as much controversial circumstances maybe as 2013 and what arose after that, but it was still heartbreaking.
Yeah, how difficult is it playing Tyrone? Is it a mental challenge as well? Because they're such, like the last 20 years, they're such a tough team to beat.
I wouldn't say it's such a mental challenge. I think what you get with Tyrone is a tough team to break down. But again, when they do attack, they can really punish you. And you've seen Tyrone throughout the years, games that they've played. They've racked up serious high scores and they can punish you as well. They're very good attacking, but defensively, when they do get set up and when they're on form, they're very very hard to break down. So we've just been unlucky a few times. We have beat them a few times and in Ulster Championship games, but in the All Ireland series, it's something that we have failed to do. But it's just it's like Tyrone. They're probably saying themselves in All Ireland isn't too far out of their grasp. So hopefully someday we can get to that grail, but probably just have to get over the likes of quarter final, semi final humps. And Tyrone and Dublin have been the teams really to stop us in them.
Yeah, how difficult is the Ulster Championship? Because you have yourselves, Donegal, Tyrone, even Armagh now the last year or two, Cavan. How difficult is the championship up there?
Yeah, it's got a lot more difficult over the last number of years, as you said. There's more teams in Division 1. But even the likes of you said, Cavan and Armagh, who wouldn't have been seen as the powerhouses lately in this era anyway, in this decade, sorry. Whereas Armagh would have been big in the 2000s. They're starting to make the rise again under Kieran McGeeney. They've been knocking on the door this last number of years, but they've been expecting themselves to make a big push this year in the Ulster Championship, and we played them last year in the qualifiers, and they swept by us essentially. But they're definitely knocking on the door. Cavan as well. He beat us in the championship last year. Another team who got to an Ulster final and were unlucky. So it's just not Monaghan, Tyrone, Donegal anymore. There's a lot more teams knocking on it, and that just shows the competitiveness of it compared to maybe other provinces. Connacht's probably the second most competitive, but you could always predict at the start of the year who's going to win Munster, and then you can't really do that with Ulster and Connacht.
Do you see that as an advantage or disadvantage going into the likes of a Super 8, that probably Dublin or Kerry have an easy enough passage through and they're sort of fresh, while you might have to go through 3 tough games to win an Ulster?
It's hard to know. I wouldn't just say it's a disadvantage. You are setting yourself up for the big boys when you do get into Super 8s with 3 really tough games in Ulster, and I suppose you can look at it both sides as well. That maybe Dublin and Kerry and these teams are looking at Super 8 from maybe before the Leinster starts and getting themselves ready, and they can maybe afford to play boys and add to the depth of their panel in those championship games. Whereas we have to, up in Ulster or Connacht, we have to set our strongest team out from day one, but it's hard to know who has the advantage or the disadvantage. But I wouldn't swap it. I wouldn't swap it for Dublin or Kerry. The Ulster Championship, it's what we have up here, and what we love is the competitiveness of it, and the crowds that come out and the intensity of the games.
Yeah, even the attendance is probably Ulster, and even the Connachts as well. They haven't gone down at all. The atmosphere is still great with them sort of Monaghan, Tyrone, Monaghan, Donegal games.
The stadiums that they played in, Croke Park, might take away from a lot of the atmosphere at those Leinster games, and that would, like the likes of Clones and Athletic Grounds and Bristol Park and Breffni Park and all, they're always full to the brim whenever these games come around. So that adds to it. When the stands are full. I remember Omagh 2 years ago against Tyrone. I remember the place was hopping that day, and it was a really wet day, and sometimes that meant it was a great atmosphere, and that adds to it especially. So I suppose that arguments against the behind closed doors, really. But
yeah. Then 2018 was kind of up and down. You, as you said there, you bet Tyrone in Omagh, and then you go into the semi-final against Fermanagh. It was kind of a shock loss. How disappointing was it to lose that one, actually?
Yeah, it was. Like we had built ourselves up for an Ulster Championship, and for that to happen, we didn't play well at all that day, but we were still 2 points up, and obviously with the goal at the end, it was definitely a soccer point for us. But it was disheartening, and I remember meeting up the Wednesday or Thursday after that as a team and just saying, look, we can sit here and feel sorry for ourselves, or we can still aim for what we want at the end of the year, and that was in All Ireland. And we probably got a wee bit lucky with the draw in the back door with the likes of Waterford, Leitrim, and that. No disrespect to them, but when it got to the Super 8, we were well prepared for the games, and the Kildare, Galway, and Kerry games. We played well in all 3 of them, and could have had it wrapped up, I suppose, after the Kerry game, but we give ourselves a wee bit of work to do in Galway. But thankfully, that was probably our best performance of the lot. So the amount of games we had and the amount of competitive games we had, but also disappointing the way then.
Yeah, as you said, you drew with Kerry. It was a great game to watch, but it's probably one you look back on thinking, yeah, we shouldn't have had to go Salt Hill and win.
Yeah, we should have. We shouldn't have. Should have been coming out with the win that day, obviously, but probably just added to it. It showed when you've seen Salt Hill and the performance that we put in. I don't think it took a lot out of us going into for the following week, but it would have been nice maybe to go into that game and not having to put everything in to get the win. It could have been nice to go out and just get a good run out and being able to focus on an All-Ireland semi-final that weekend. But I think it was a huge weekend in terms of like bank holiday weekend over in Galway and Salt Hill and Monaghan over and that there sort of stuff. So It's another weekend that does live long in memory in terms of the way the fans poured on the field and that. But it all really ended up obviously the following week. It was disappointing.
Yeah, would you prefer maybe another week off because you were like just the weekend after going straight into that Tyrone semi-final?
It's hard to know. I remember chatting to one of the boys about it, and he was saying, imagine the absolute hype that you would have had to deal with the 2 weeks between the games, and maybe it was great to have that sort of week. Because I know the hype around Monaghan was huge. Everywhere you went, people were talking about it and that. So maybe the week between that you were able to maybe just hide about at the house and that and sort of escape it. Whereas 2 weeks you would have the weekend there, and would have been hard to maybe escape all the hype. But that's just part and parcel of it, I suppose.
Yeah, the one you look back on, and probably that was the most disappointing one to lose. Obviously, it's the semi-final, and to lose by a point, a game away from an All-Ireland final. I suppose it doesn't come round often for the like counties like Monaghan.
No, it doesn't, and we fully expect ourselves to be back in that position in the future. Like, but I suppose at that time it was a lot of players' first times. Every player's first time playing an All-Ireland semi-final. So to be so close to an All-Ireland final was obviously disappointing and probably one of the worst defeats I've ever had. So booked the flight the next day and got away from the whole talk about the game and that after. So all the talk of the game disappeared maybe the week I came back. So I was happy enough, but it was quite a disappointing loss. Definitely one of the hardest ones.
Yeah, is it even that having these big games in Croke Park will actually make you stronger in the future? Probably that you have that experience of playing in front of big crowds.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime any player gets to play in Croke Park is a big day, and we've been lucky over the last number of years to be able to grace Croke Park. So, the more the merrier. We played Dublin this year in it. A game we could have won, but our record hasn't been too bad in Croke Park, I suppose, when we went to it. But I suppose when the big games come along, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be playing in front of 80,000 people and playing your best football then and winning.
Yeah, last year was probably disappointing enough. You lost to Cavan in the Ulster, and then, as you said earlier, you lost to Armagh in the qualifiers. Malik O'Rourke's side stepped down. Was it a surprise that he decided to, or did you feel that I think he was nearly saying it was probably time for a new voice in the dressing room?
I didn't think it was a surprise at all. I had a feeling it might have been coming. I'm sure obviously he had planned for a better year than what happened, but I had a feeling it was coming along. But obviously, as disappointing as it was, what he done for Monaghan football, what he done for himself personally, would be forgotten. I suppose he probably felt himself it was a time to freshen up, and we had to accept that. And again, just I know a lot of players had a lot of good time for Malachy, and same as myself, and it was disappointing for see him go, but as well as likes of Leo and Ryan and Collie and Owen Lennon and the rest of the backroom team are all offered so much to the team, and it was just a very disappointing to see them go. But they just made a decision and probably felt it was the right decision for Monaghan football. So.
Yeah, Seamus McEnany's back now. How's, I suppose we obviously the season got postponed anyways in March there, but how was the first few months under him?
Yeah, very good, very good. A lot of enjoyment. In fairness, the team he's built around him has been brilliant in terms of that, and a lot of new players have come into the panel that Seamus would have worked with over maybe the 17s and 20s. So he's a die-hard Monaghan supporter when he wasn't about, and when he is, he's so passionate about the players and does what he can for the players. So it's been brilliant so far, and in fairness, he's been keeping in touch, and the management team will keep in touch with players and so on to if there's anything they need. So it's been a very enjoyable couple of months up until the whole thing stopped, but hopefully we get back at it soon and get back into it.
Yeah, you had a relatively good league campaign for when it was on anyways. As you said, you probably should have beaten Dublin and Croke Park, and I think you bet Mayo and Tyrone, so it was going well anyways.
It was, yeah. We were putting in good performances. The Mayo Tyrone games stick out. Obviously, games we won quite well. I think the Tyrone game maybe finished by 4 points, but I know we were up at 7 or 8 points at one stage in that game. So, we were putting a lot of good performances in the Dublin game. Again, probably played our best stuff in the first half and eased off in the second half. But The signs were good. When you don't include the Donegal game, it was just one of them games that nothing happened really for us that day. But we've been quite happy where we're at. Even leaving Galway, we thought we should have came away with something. So we were happy enough with where we were going, and the signs were good. So obviously it's disappointing. We had 2 very attractive home games at the end of the year with Meath and Kerry. So hopefully something gets sorted in the near future in regards to what way the league's going to finish, or if they're going to finish at all, at least just give us some clarity. But I was happy with how it was going.
Yeah, you've been playing Division 1 now for probably 4 or 5 years at least. What's your mentality like going into it? Because you're probably, from the neutrals anyways, you're probably always second or third favourite to go down. But like, what's your mindset going into Division 1 every year?
Yeah, it's a target obviously to stay up and that there, but we don't sort of set ourselves that bar of just having to stay up. Like we want to go and win a national league. Like you don't want to just stay up every year and do that. You want to make an assault on it as well, and that's something that we have. That's our mentality going into every year. And there's years where we've been close to being up there around the National League semi-finals, finals, and there's years where we've just with the skin of our teeth escaped relegation. So that's just the joys of the league, playing those big teams week in, week out, going to home and away venues and playing that year. The crowds coming out to watch them games at that time of year is great. So for us, the National League it's a find our performances, getting our performances in for the championship, but at the same time being competitive.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit about the kickouts. I suppose Stephen Cluxton probably changed the way goalkeepers viewed the game. Would you base your game a lot around the way he was playing sort of at the start of the last decade?
Yeah, I would have watched him a lot, obviously, when I was growing up. And I suppose the first couple of years under Malachy and the first couple of years I came in, it wasn't really expected of us to maybe picking out those sort of kickouts where it started to change around 2015-16. But I think every county team and every club team in the country now is basing themselves around Dublin, and not everyone is a keeper like Stephen Cluxton. So it does take a bit of work to do, and it does. It just involves a lot of work on the training ground to perfect it. But I've been saying this. I used to be a coach with Monaghan coaching games. I remember saying that to coaches coming in that you need to base your goalkeepers in your training as much as you can and get them used to the players around them. And your kickouts aren't going to get any better if you're not. Again, if it's a shooting drill, you're not going to. You're going to work on shooting all the time if you want to improve your shooting. So why not work on the kickouts? Something that happens 25 to 30 times in a game. So I think it's becoming a big. It's becoming a big necessity now for managers to get the kickouts worked on, and I suppose for us, from 2016 on, that was a huge thing for us, was to get the kickouts going and get strategies in place to win our kickouts and try and get 100%.
Yeah, it's probably a critical part of the game, because probably in the past any goalkeeper just hit 2 midfielders if they could in the middle, but now you sort of moving targets, short kickouts, so it's a crucial part of the game.
Yeah, it is, and it's enjoyable. The challenge is enjoyable for us, and with Monaghan, I've sort of been spoilt, and Scotland as well. I've been spoilt with players in front of me who want the ball and make good runs for me, and you're only as good as the players in front of you. So we've worked on a lot since 2016, and look, by no means is it the finished article, but we still have a lot of work to do. But we see ourselves getting there slowly but surely. But definitely something that has changed a lot in Monaghan football from when I started was, I remember 2013, it was a case of kick it left, kick it right, and hope for the break maybe. But now it's that's our last resort, I suppose.
Yeah, would you have a specific kick-out strategy going to a certain game, or would you adapt as sort of the game goes on?
You just have to adapt, I think. You can't really plan for it. You don't know what way teams are going to approach it or what way they're going to approach you. So it's a lot of it's off the cuff with players. You just have a bit of a connection with some players. You know where they're going to run, and they know where you're going to kick it. So I think a lot of it is off the cuff, and there's times throughout games where you might need to take a call out that you've worked on, but usually it's just play it as you see it, and hope really that it works out.
Yeah, we'll go on to a few people's questions, mainly about the kickouts. Someone said, is there any specific gym exercise or pitch drill to increase distance in ground kicking?
No, there's no. For me, there's no specific gym exercises for it. I wouldn't have been a big goer of the gym when I was younger. So, I know I did from when I was younger, about 10, 11, 12 years of age. I would have been playing a lot of soccer, as a goalkeeper, and the majority of obviously all your kickouts are off the ground. So I would have been doing that at a young age, and just kept doing it throughout my underage career. And I always practiced it, but I suppose when the goalkeeping coach came in, he just focused me down and really got me to nail on technique of striking the ball. And he says try not to maybe aim for power as much, maybe just aim for the strike or the technique, and the distance just came with that. And when you're striking the ball cleaner, it's a bit like a golf shot. You don't try to go and push the golf ball, otherwise it's going into the bush or the lake. It's just controlling your strike and striking the ball like you would a golf ball, and just striking nice and composed through it, and it'll go usually where you want it to go.
Yeah, do you actually think more emphasis needs to be put on kicking now with kickouts rather than the actual purpose of the goalkeeper, which is like shot stopping, for instance?
I think it has. I think it has changed over the last number of years, but I think with us in Monaghan, the goalkeeping coach, we do a lot of work in the goal now, and compared to maybe kicking, and I think your kicking work, it can be done. I think that with a goalie coach, a lot of it has to be your work in the goal, shot stopping, high balls and that. But I think when you're doing your kickouts, it has to be with the team. Otherwise, it's useless, because you're kicking to your players in a game. You're not kicking to another goalkeeper. So I think when it comes to training, when you're working on kickouts, the big one is working with your team on that.
Someone asked, how did you perfect your free kicks?
Just the old cliche: practice, practice, practice. You can ask anyone around the club. I would never go off the football field any time I got when I was younger, and it would have been just practicing that. And I wasn't the free taker up until maybe 2012 with Scottstown, and I remember Darren Hughes asked me to come up in a game against Ballybay in the league and take a few frees, and thankfully that happened, and I scored 2 that day, and it's sort of been the free taker off the ground ever since. So it's just came from as I said, you only get better when the more you do it in games and when you're in those situations. So I've had a lot of free kicks over the times I've been involved in senior football, and you just get better with it and more experienced with it the more you take them. So just get out and practice them on the pitch whenever you can, whenever they reopen, and start maybe close in and work your way out. Just get used to your technique or your free kick routine from 15, 20 yards out, and then move your way out to the 45.
Yeah, for Monaghan, would say if it was 45 metres out, would the likes maybe a Conor McManus call you up, or would you know yourself that you're going to be taking this one?
Yeah, I'd usually be out around the 45 anyway, watching the play, and if it's the case, I'd start making my way up. But Conor would be first priority maybe in most of them free kicks. So if he felt it was out of his range or whatever, I'm happy enough to come up. But Conor's it's Conor's choice at the end of the day, because he's the main free taker, and he's the most probably reliable free taker of us.
Yeah, you even hit one from the 65 against Dublin. Like, what's the limit? What's the furthest you could hit it?
I didn't think I could hit it that far that day. I don't know why he was coming up or why he was going to hit that free that day, but I just set it down and I said, I've nothing really to lose here. No one's expecting me really to hit this from 65. So I had hit one earlier, I remember in 2014 or 15 against Dublin in the league from a similar enough distance, and it's probably the same angle in that. So I just went up and I put the foot through it. I just again focused on technique of striking it cleanly, and thankfully it just went where I wanted it to go. And you're not going to score them consistently. I wouldn't be recommend that goalkeepers come up to be hitting 65s, but I think we had a player injured that time, and there was a bit of a break in play, and I think to just said, have a go at it and see how it goes on. Thankfully, it went over.
Yeah, it's probably a crucial part now. With the goalkeepers can nearly make the difference. I even saw last year with Scommon against Mayo, our goalkeeper scored 3 points, and if you have a goalkeeper that can score 2 or 3 long range frees, it can make all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's bonus scores at the end of the day for you. People aren't expecting frees from maybe 55 yards out to go over anyway, and if you have a keeper who can do that, who can tag on maybe 2 or 3 points a game, it's a huge bonus, and it just gives teams gives the defending team a wee bit more to think about when they're going to tackle that they can't maybe tackle inside that area.
We'll finish with a few quick fire questions. What would be your favourite game in a Monaghan shirt?
Favourite game in the Monaghan shirt would be Galway 2018. Just the performance and the I suppose the crowd coming on after was and the day it was in it. Was definitely the Galway game.
Favourite score?
Cool Rain 2018. Just it put us into an Ulster final, so that was probably my favourite score.
And then the last two, say the best player you played with?
Best player I've played with would be between Conor McManus or maybe Kieran Hughes.
And then the best manager you played under?
I'd have to go with Malachy in that one. Malachy, Manny McGleanan would be two of my favourite managers that I would have played under. They both brought success to the teams I was involved in around that time. So, but Malachy would definitely be the favourite. I definitely had a good relationship with Malachy and enjoyed all the trainings under him and the years under him.
Rory, thanks very much for coming on. Hopefully we'll see some sort of action at least this year.
Yeah, hopefully.
And keep an eye on the channel. I'll have more videos coming soon.